Ascension in the count of 5. Count of 4.
No.
3, 2, 1. Ascension. Ascension.
Just stay calm.
5,000 feet. 10,000 feet. 15,000 feet. Hallelujah.
Hello, and welcome to Wonderful Games Bioshock Infinite. I've decided that if I even talk about one game, it's going to be a Wonderful Games, because it's just a nice way to keep it all together. Spoilers are going to be, there won't be any spoilers in the beginning. I'll do a little bit at the end for the spoilers I want to talk about. So yes, let's begin, shall we? So first, I'm going to talk about the fact that this is Bioshock. It is a Bioshock game. What's nice if it's becoming a staple that I never played System Shock and things like that, but maybe they were exactly the same. I don't know. It kind of could be a problem, but it doesn't seem to be. That it's really similar. Like plasmids, there's some completely taken from Bioshock, like Murder of Crows, the one they seem to just show on everything, is essentially Swarm from the both the first games. There's Whirlwind, what's now Bucking Bronco, maybe, I can't remember the names, but there's Electrobolt, there's Incinerate, but now it's like a grenade form. There's a charge thing that was, I think, a perk in Bioshock 2, but now it's a full thing. Return to Sender's a pretty cool one. It puts a shield up and you can be like Magneto, and there's a cool animation of bullets crumbling around you. There's like a water one that you can grab people with tentacles and fry them and things. But the new ones are really cool, but there are quite a few reused, but they have a little twist. And they can all be used in two versions, pretty much. You can do a trap version. Instead of before you had to buy upgrades and things for them, they're now, you can automatically do traps. Weapons, there's essentially the same amount, in a couple more than the old Bioshock. Now you can only hold 2 at a time. What helps, because before in Bioshock I would just use the shotgun, and then when it was low on ammo, then I'd swap it. But now I don't need have to. It makes you change it. Well, it adds another layer of combat, because you've got to think, do I take this in or do I swap it? There's like 2 of each kind. There's a pistol and a hand cannon, a carbine, like a blaster rifle, rocket launcher, sniper rifle, grenade launcher, shotgun and blunderbuss. There's upgrades for all of them, plasmids and weapons. The weapons ones, they kind of add another layer of combat as well, because you have to decide, because there's no way you can buy more. It's not like before, there's a set amount. It's like a vending machine now, so you have to pick what to upgrade. Do you focus on the select few or spread it out, because you might put in a situation where you won't get your favourite gun for a while. What at the end of the game, that did screw me over. There's also upgrades for plasmids now. Well, there always was, but now they're just money instead of, what was it before? Adam, I think. Yeah, the plasmid upgrades, they kind of are ruined in a weird way. They're really expensive for no real reason. And there's another thing, instead of tonics now there's gears, what means there's 4 slots and you can put items of clothing in there: hat, trousers, shoes. And they're randomised, what means if you restart a checkpoint, the item will be different in the box. The box will still be there, but it'll be a different item, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they've done it, but it adds a whole new thing because you select. But there is some that completely go around the upgrades. Like there's an upgrade for Electrobolt, well, it's not Electrobolt, but essentially is that allows it to, once you kill an enemy that has it on it, it will blast out and affect others. But I got gear early on that does that anyway, and to all 3 different plasmids. Also, because it's randomised, there's a chance you could get really good ones at the beginning and the rest are useless. Like I got one that gives you health when you're low on health when you kill an enemy, and a 40% chance to get salt from an enemy when you kill him. These really ridiculous overpowered weapons, which meant gear, that meant I didn't have to get anything else. So it's kind of weird. I don't know why they did it, but it's fine. It works out. combat in general is pretty fun, especially with melee is a big deal with the sky hook, or whatever it's called, and the skylines that let you make fights multi-leveled. It's really cool and fun with assassinations and things. I heard some reviews say that the combat got repetitive and really obvious, but I think that's just a video game thing. You can tell where a fight's coming up. It wasn't a big deal. I don't know. I played it on hard. I don't know what they played it on, but I always did dread fights. But that's because you're always outmanned and outgunned, and you have to do things. Because sometimes you could have no weapons and have to go into a fight and really have no choice about it. So I really don't get that. The combat is kind of ruined because of the resurrection system, which is when you die, Elizabeth will drag you away, heal you, it will cost you money, enemies will regain health. But it also happens if Elizabeth isn't there, you'll just do a weird dream sequence thing that's kind of annoying. I wish there was another way around it. You didn't have to have it. I think in the 1999 mode there isn't. You can only do a certain amount of resurrections, maybe. I haven't played it yet. But in the original Bioshock, I would turn off Vita Chambers because I didn't want to waste money and ammo, and I would just make the save a lot. But there's no save management system in this game. It's all auto-save. What annoys me as well, but I don't know if they did that to stop you like spawning the best gear. I'm not quite sure. But overall, combat's pretty fun. It's more in depth than you would think, especially when you add Elizabeth, and the fight doesn't just turn into what plasmids you use. It depends on the environment. Elizabeth can spawn in different items for you, whether it's medkits or just turrets, and that means depending on where you are, different things will spawn, like whether it's hooks that you can jump around the map and get behind people, or if you want to use a turret in the middle of the map that can spawn, but then it will only last like 10 seconds, so you use it as a way to get away quickly. There's a lot more to it, and I never became too repetitive. The thing that did come repetitive was the enemies. They're Bioshock enemies. There's Leatherhead splicers, there's Thuggish splicers, there's Houdini splicers, there's Brutes, what are the handymen. I've seen a lot of people call the handymen essentially the big daddies of this game. It's not true. Songbird is the fucking big daddy of this game, and I'll talk about that later. Spoilers. But yeah, handyman are Brutes. There are different enemies like the Patriots, the robots with guns. I can't remember the siren things' names. There is other enemies, and the different enemies there are tweaks to them, and even enemies like the Brutes that are the handymen, you get extra damage to shoot in different places, and it mixes things up. It's just, I wish there was more diversity. Overall, it is a Bioshock game, and if it becomes a staple, it's a good thing if this is a Bioshock game, but it weirded me a bit. Then there's Columbia. Columbia isn't Rapture. It's the part of Rapture you always wanted to see. The bit before everything fell, and you only got a chance to see in the multiplayer, what was kind of sucked. It's amazing. The first hour of the game, you just walk around the city, and I may have walked around for like 2 hours just because I want to see everything. It's incredible. Just the weird atmosphere, how different it is from everything, and the whole weird undertones that you know this place is really evil, but you would still love to live there, with the carnivals and everything. It's great. And when it does, after that whole walk area and things blow up and it goes insane, it's great. It's so good. And there's many reviews that said there was a big filler part of the game. What I don't get, I can't figure out what that part of the game is. I kind of know what they're talking about, but I was never annoyed. If I felt justified that I was going to a new place. It didn't feel like I was there and they snatched something away from me. It felt like I'm fine with going there, and also it means I get to explore more of this amazing city and get more backstory, what I don't have a problem with. Like the train station area, I think it's what I remember, like, might have been a filler level, but it was really cool, and there were secret places and places to get new tonics. It was great. So there's filler levels, it felt like a perfect time to me, unlike, Dishonored that fucking sucked. I thought I needed to add that in. So yeah, I don't get what reviewers say about it being filler levels. It all felt justified.
Oh, it's a bee. I hate these things.
Jeez, just kill it.
No, it'll sting me.
Elizabeth.
I have a better idea.
Wait, what are you doing?
Opening a tear.
Oh, shit. What is that?
It's a tear. I used to open them all the time in my tower.
What is a tear?
It's like a window. A window to another world.
And even though the city is obviously the biggest character, the main character is Elizabeth. And it's great that Booker isn't the main character in the story. It's Elizabeth. Elizabeth has problems. She isn't a static object. She will teleport around. But seeing as she's a TARDIS, doesn't really make a difference to me. It never really caused me a problem, and it's pretty much used, I think, to make sure you don't get stuck in doorways. But sometimes she'll talk about things in the environment and you might miss it just because you don't know where she is. She does teleport around a lot. But she does add so much to the game, like when you see her tiptoeing to look over a wall, or instead of following you around a room, she'll decide to sit down on a box. Or there's an area meant to be going, and I decided to look around and go a different way, and she stood in front of me with her arms crossed, looking pissed off that I weren't going where she wanted. She just adds so much. She's amazing. In combat, she's helpful. She doesn't take damage. Thank fucking God, that would have been the worst game ever made. Even in normal walking around environments, she'll tell you if you left some pick locks, and if you've left money, she'll throw you it. It might get to the point where you feel annoyed at this, but there's a point to the game where you're not with her, and you will immediately miss it. When she comes back and throws you that coin, you'll think, oh, it'll feel good. She is great. She's so good. And Booker is Han Solo, but with a lot more depth. He's great. How he goes from just a guy who wants to get rid of his debt to willing to forget everything and just take her to Paris so she'll be happy. He's a really cool character. And I don't want to go too much into him because that's for the spoiler bit after. So overall, I'm not going to go into the story because also spoilers. Great, amazing game. If you haven't played it, or if you're on the edge about it and you've read reviews that say certain things, there's always two types of reviews for this game I keep seeing, and just ignore them, and it's amazing. Just play it. I wouldn't know. I haven't played it on PC. It's meant to look better, but it still looked amazing on Xbox, even if it wasn't. The textures were a bit blah, but it still looked good, and it will look amazing, but it will only matter for so long because the story will get you wrapped up in it. I've heard also in reviews talk about how the twist in it, because it's a Bioshock game, there's going to be a twist. I just got wrapped up in the game and didn't even think of the twist coming, and there's many, and you might go, oh, Archie, what are you talking about? I played it, I've got to this point, there's been a twist. It was kind of a meh twist, I kind of saw it coming. Just give it another 20 minutes. The end of that game is mind-blowing. Well, not mind-blowing, but it messes with you. It's good, so just play it. It's great. Spoiler bit's coming up. Dark Souls is coming back out next week. I've been away, but yeah. So yeah, warning, spoilers. Don't watch now, I swear to God, including you, Tavis, if you're watching this. I will lend you the game if you must, but do not watch this. Anyone who hasn't played it, don't watch this. Please, to God, don't watch this. So, the thing I said earlier about it being Bioshock, it's weird saying there's a problem with this game, but it was a thing that was messy. It was niggling away that it was too much like Bioshock, not just with combat and characters. Just the whole everything. Like, I thought they're doing a new setting, new characters, all this. They should have made it slightly different, and there wasn't anything different. Like, it started with a character who had more backstory than even he knew about, going to a city that's futuristic, ruled by a tyrant-esque character who built the city to get away from normal society. The city is in war between the rich and the poor because there's too big of a divide. There's girl being followed or trying to keep safe by a big dude in a suit that he can't get out of, and there's some weird connection between them that you don't quite know about. It was way too similar to me, and you even found audio logs of characters like Fink, I think, talking about how the Prophet had shown him blueprints or something, or a world where there was these creatures or something. I can't remember exactly. I'll put it in the video. But it's shown him how to make this thing, and he wasn't sure how he was going to use it, putting a man in a suit like that. And I was sure it had to be a prequel. It had to be a prequel. It could not be, with all the things they're setting up. And then this happened.
Where is he? Where is he?
It's okay. It's all right. I'm here. Just let go. There you go. There you go.
Elizabeth, I'm sorry.
and it blew my freaking mind. It actually, I didn't know what to do, and it made sense. The fact that it was meant to be Bioshock, it was meant to be another Rapture for another time. This thing happens for all dimensions, what means there's an infinite amount of possibilities for Bioshock games, what warms my heart. And a bit of my brain was like, yeah, I get this. This makes total sense. Why wouldn't this make sense? And the rest of my brain was shouting, going, help, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. A interesting story in a video game. Jeez, what should I do? But it's great. So I'm going to do a wrap-up of, if you were confused by the game, I don't think you would. I just want to talk about it, and it's the best way I can do it. If you were confused in any way, this is going to be my wrap-up of the Bioshock ending. In a different dimension, the one you start in, or actually, yeah, the one you start in, there's the Booker Dwight, who doesn't have kids. He's been to war, and he wants to forget everything. So goes to be reborn, baptized, where once he's done it, he renames himself, is it Cornstalk? I don't remember his fucking name. How can I not remember his name? I'll put it in the video, because I've completely forgotten his name. And he's shown, an angel comes down to him, I think it's meant to be the Trey, I think that's how you say the fucking name, comes to him and helps him build the city in the sky and New Eden and all that, and tries to help him fulfill his prophecy he's been shown. And in the prophecy he was shown, he can't do what he wants, he can't change the world, it won't be him who does it, it will be his seed, his daughter, but he doesn't have one, and because of an experiment he becomes sterile, so he can't have kids. So he opens up a dimensional portal and goes to another Booker Dwight who has a kid and is in massive debt, and offers him a chance to give us the girl and we'll wipe away your debt. Booker does it and regrets it almost immediately, chases him down and tries to stop it, doesn't, and in the thing of them going through a different dimension, Elizabeth loses her finger. That might become important later, I don't know.
Give me back my daughter! No!
Then after that, Booker, because he's all messed up, because he's just given away his daughter, he goes to be reborn and baptized, but says no, it's not going to change anything, I recognise that, so goes on. What means Columbia is never made, because he is never reborn. Then 20 years after he's given away his daughter, the tree turns back up, her brother, or her from a different dimension, I'm not really sure, turns up and says, we can help out, and I think they're trying to repair some messed up things they've done throughout time, I'm not quite sure. But he goes, yeah, and because obviously there's no Columbia in his dimension or universe or whatever, he goes through the portal, what causes him to freak the fuck out because there's two of him in one dimension and his brain can't handle it. So that quote from the beginning of the game or the back of the box, I don't know what the back of the box is, boom, the mind of the subject will desperately struggle to create memories that were non-exist. He puts together his own thing, and the only thing he remembers from his past was bring us the girl and wipe away your debt. So he uses that as an excuse to go through and save his daughter. All for it, blah blah blah, fighting death. Sum up the game there. He ends up killing himself, what makes his brain freak out because he's dead but alive in the same dimension. Blah. And they go through all the thing where all the revelations are shown, and Booker realises if he's going to stop him giving up his daughter, he has to kill Cornstalk or Corn. Oh, I can't remember his fucking name. How can I not remember his name? Anyway, he says to him, oh no, he says he must drown him or stop him being born, smother him. Smother, weird, gross shit. So takes him to the point where he's reborn, where he was born as Cornstalk at the baptizing place. And all the Elizabeths from all the different dimensions, one where he was a martyr and all these different things show up and drown him. Which means he would have never gone to Booker and asked for his daughter, he wouldn't have done any of that. So Booker wakes up, bam, in 1989. Or 1893. Wouldn't have been 1989. Way too early. Or future. Fucking time travel. Wakes up and Anna's with him. Anna Dwight, by the way. AD. Wakes up. Anna's with him. Yeah, everything's happy. Things I kind of didn't understand why Elizabeth or Anna had powers. Maybe because she grew up in a dimension where she was never meant to be born and it caused a weird universal blah. Or maybe because she existed in two different dimensions because of her finger. That maybe? I ain't got a real clue. But it seems like a happy ending. It really isn't. It means Anna never becomes Elizabeth. I mean, she doesn't become the nice, smart girl we've met. She just becomes this kid from New York with a dad who's still in massive debt and gambles, and also remembers the fact that he gave up his daughter in a past life. So your most brilliant alcoholic. What a lovely now story. Instead of growing up with superpowers, they grow up in a slum in New York. How much nicer is that? But I love this game. It's now in my top 5. I think I still like Bioshock 1 more. Just because when I ended up in Rapture in this game, I freaked the fuck out and felt warm inside, like I'd return home. So I think my top 5 list is Bioshock, Bioshock Infinite, Dark Souls, because it's great. Jak and Daxter, The Precursor Legacy, I love. And then Batman Arkham City. They're mainstream, but fuck it, they're great games. If you stayed all this way and watched it, hope you enjoyed the game as well. I wouldn't mind a comment below. If you haven't played the game, why the fuck did you watch this? I warned you. But yeah, it's great. So good. I love the game. Dark Souls will return on Monday, hopefully. If I put this out tonight. Maybe. Yeah, thanks for watching. This has been Wonderful Games Bioshock. I've been Archie. Goodbye.